Most couples over 60 have stopped talking during sex altogether. Not because they don't want to, but because every word feels like a risk. What if I hurt his feelings? What if she thinks I'm criticizing? What if I say the wrong thing and ruin everything? So you stay silent. You hope he remembers what you like. You assume she knows what you need. And slowly, intimacy becomes a guessing game where both of you are losing. But here's what no one tells you. The silence isn't protecting anything. It's the reason you've stopped wanting sex in the first place. Welcome back to the Female Health Podcast. I'm Dr. Leah Parker, a gynecologist and intimate health psychologist with over 30 years in practice. And today I'm going to show you exactly what to say during sex, so words stop feeling like criticism and start creating pleasure. By the end, you'll know the 3 types of communication that work. You'll learn which phrases invite connection and which ones kill it. And you'll understand why the couples who talk during sex are the ones who actually enjoy it. But first, you need to know why staying silent doesn't work anymore. When you were younger, your bodies could speak for themselves. Arousal was obvious, touch was predictable. You stayed quiet because your body filled in the blanks. That's over now. After menopause, everything shifts. What once felt incredible now feels muted. What used to be too much is suddenly just right. Your clitoris needs different pressure. Your skin wants slower touch. Your arousal takes longer to build and needs specific attention to bloom. Your body rewrote the entire map, and your partner is still using directions from 20 years ago. This is why he touches you the same way but nothing happens, why she waits for signals that don't come anymore, why both of you end up frustrated wondering if desire is just gone. It's not gone. Your body just speaks a different language now, and if you don't translate, your partner will keep missing the mark, not because he doesn't care, not because she isn't trying, but because bodies after 60 don't give the same cues they used to. So here's what changes everything. You have to guide in real time, right there in the moment, with simple words that show your partner exactly where you are and what you need. That's the first type of communication, real-time navigation, and I'm going to show you exactly how it works. Real-time navigation means guiding your partner while it's happening, not before, not after. Right there in the moment when touch lands in the wrong place or the right rhythm suddenly shifts. Most women freeze when this happens. He's touching too high, too fast, too light, and you say nothing. You don't want to hurt his feelings. You don't want to sound bossy. So you wait and hope he figures it out, but he doesn't. And 5 minutes later, you're both tired and nothing felt good. Here's what changes that. 1 sentence, a little lower, that's it. Not "you're doing it wrong," not "that doesn't work," just a little lower, or softer, or "right there, stay there." These aren't instructions, they're invitations. You're inviting him into your pleasure instead of leaving him outside guessing. And when you say it with warmth, when your voice is soft and encouraging, it doesn't feel like criticism, it feels like connection. I had a patient tell me she spent 15 years faking enjoyment because she thought correcting her husband would crush him. Then one night she finally whispered, "Slower, just like that," and he looked at her with relief and said, "Why didn't you tell me that years ago?" He wasn't offended, he was grateful. Because men after 60 want the same thing you do. They want to know it's working. They want to stop guessing. They want you to enjoy yourself, and they can't make that happen if you won't tell them how. So here's your first rule. Affirmative guidance only. Never say what's wrong. Always say what's right. Not "stop doing that, but I love when you touch here instead." Not "that's too hard, but softer feels amazing." You're not correcting. You're celebrating what works and gently steering toward more of it. And here's the part that surprises most couples. Once you start guiding in the moment, once those few words become normal, arousal actually increases because your brain stops worrying. It stops waiting for him to guess correctly. It relaxes into the knowing that you can shape this experience together. But real-time navigation only works during sex. There's another type of communication that happens long before you ever touch. And when you get this one right, you never have to guess what your partner wants again. The second type of communication happens outside the bedroom. I call it the before conversation. And this is where most couples get it completely wrong. They wait until they're already in bed, already touching, already feeling the pressure to perform, and then they try to talk about what they want. But by that point, it's too late. You're vulnerable, you're exposed, and any word that sounds even slightly like criticism feels like a knife. The before conversation happens on a Tuesday afternoon, over coffee, sitting on the couch fully clothed. When there's no expectation, no pressure, no immediacy, that's when you say the things that are too heavy to carry into intimacy itself. I've noticed my body responds differently now. I need more time to warm up before penetration feels good. That's not a conversation for the bedroom. That's a conversation for the kitchen table. And when you say it there, when it's calm and clear, your partner can actually hear it without feeling attacked. Here's what I tell couples: pick a neutral time and start with curiosity, not complaint. Not "you never do this anymore, but I've been wondering what you enjoy most now that our bodies have changed." Not "sex doesn't work for me, but I'd love to explore what feels good for both of us these days." One of my patients tried this after months of avoiding sex entirely. She sat down with her husband on a Sunday morning and said, "I miss being close to you, but I'm scared it's going to hurt. Can we talk about ways to make it comfortable again?" He teared up. He thought she didn't want him anymore. He had no idea pain was the problem. That one conversation opened the door to lubricant, longer foreplay, different positions, things they never would have discovered if she'd kept silent or tried to bring it up in the heat of the moment. So here's your second rule: talk when you're calm, not when you're exposed. Discuss desires, changes, fears, and boundaries before you ever take your clothes off. Because the couples who plan these conversations are the ones who actually enjoy what happens after. But there's one more type of communication most couples never use, and it's the most powerful of all. If you're enjoying this, give it a like so more couples can find it, and comment below where you're watching from. I'd love to know. The third type of communication happens after sex. And this is the one that determines whether you'll want to do it again or avoid it for another month. Most couples finish and immediately roll over, or they get up to clean off, or they grab their phone and scroll. And in that silence, something dies. Because the moments right after intimacy are when your body is flooded with oxytocin, when your defenses are down, when connection is at its peak. And if you say nothing, you waste it. The after connection is simple. It's 2 sentences. "I loved when you touched my neck like that," or "that felt so good when you slowed down at the end." You're not giving a performance review. You're sharing gratitude. You're telling your partner what landed, what worked, what made you feel alive. And here's why this matters so much. Your partner has no idea what you felt unless you tell them. They can't read your mind. They can't measure your pleasure. So when you say nothing, they assume nothing special happened. But when you name it, when you say "that was exactly what I needed," you're giving them a roadmap for next time. I had a patient whose husband stopped initiating sex for over a year. She finally asked him why. He said, "I never know if you're enjoying it or just tolerating it, so I stopped trying." She was shocked. She thought her willingness was enough. But he needed words. He needed to hear that it mattered to her. So she started using after connection. Every time they were intimate, she'd say one specific thing she enjoyed. Within a month, he was initiating again. Not because the sex changed, but because he finally knew it was wanted. Here's your third rule: name what worked while you're still close. Don't wait until morning. Don't let the moment pass in silence. Give your partner the gift of knowing they reached you. Now here's where it gets interesting, because once you start using these 3 types, real-time navigation, the before conversation, and the after connection, something unexpected happens. The words start to flow easier. Your partner responds. Touch improves. And yet some couples still hold back. Why? Because there's a barrier most people never talk about. And it has nothing to do with not knowing what to say. The real barrier is this: you're afraid of what speaking reveals about you. When you guide your partner in the moment, when you say slower or right there, you're not just giving directions. You're admitting something. You're saying, "I still want this. My body still craves pleasure. I'm not done desiring or being desired." And for many women over 60, that admission feels dangerous. What if he thinks I'm too demanding? What if she thinks I should be past all this by now? What if I ask for what I want, and it makes me seem selfish, or needy, or inappropriate for my age? So you stay quiet. Not because you don't know the words, but because speaking them means being seen, fully seen, with all your desires, all your needs, all the parts of yourself you've been taught to hide. But here's what I need you to understand. That vulnerability, that moment of being truly seen, is not weakness. It's the doorway to deeper intimacy than you've ever experienced. I've watched couples married for 40 years discover each other all over again the moment one of them finally spoke. The moment she said, "I need more time before penetration feels good." The moment he admitted, "I'm worried I can't satisfy you anymore." Those words didn't create distance, they dissolved it. Because when you speak, you give your partner permission to stop guessing, you release them from the impossible task of reading your mind, and you show them that you trust them enough to be honest. So if fear is holding you back, I want you to try something. Tonight, or the next time you're intimate, say one true thing, just one, not because it's easy, but because your relationship deserves honesty more than it deserves silence. Now here's what actually happens when you start speaking. And this is the part most people don't expect. At first, yes, it feels awkward. The words stick in your throat. You stumble, you worry, you sound silly. But then your partner responds. They adjust their touch. They lean in closer. They whisper back, like this. And suddenly you realize, they've been waiting for this. They wanted to know. They needed to know. And that's when intimacy stops being a performance and becomes a conversation. A real conversation, where both of you get to ask, to answer, to explore without fear. Where touch becomes easier because you're finally working together, instead of guessing apart. But there's one more thing. One final shift that makes all of this actually stick. Because knowing what to say is one thing. But changing the pattern, the decades-long habit of silence, requires something more. It requires ritual. Here's what I mean. Pick one time this week. Maybe it's Sunday afternoon. Maybe it's Wednesday evening after dinner. Schedule 15 minutes where you sit down together, fully clothed, and practice one type of communication. Not during sex, just practice. You might practice the before conversation. Sit on the couch with tea and say, "I've been thinking about what makes me feel close to you." Or, "I want to try being more vocal next time we're intimate, and I'm a little nervous about it." Or you might practice after connection even when you haven't been intimate yet. After a hug, after holding hands, say, "I love when you touch my shoulder like that, it makes me feel safe." The point is this, you're building new pathways. You're training your voice to speak about intimacy when the stakes are low, so that when the stakes are high, when you're actually in bed together, the words come easier. And here's the beautiful part. Once communication becomes a ritual, once it's woven into your weekly rhythm, it stops feeling scary. It starts feeling natural, necessary, like something you can't imagine living without. Your voice during sex is not an interruption, it's not a criticism, it's an invitation. An invitation for your partner to know you, to reach you, to love you as you actually are. So here's my challenge. This week, choose one of the three types: real-time navigation, before conversation, or after connection. Pick the one that feels least terrifying, and use it once, just once. See what happens, see how your partner responds, see how your body feels when you finally give it permission to be heard. Because intimacy after 60 doesn't die from age, it dies from silence, and every time you speak you breathe life back into it. If this helped you, leave a comment and tell me which type of communication you're going to try first. I want to hear from you. And if you want deeper guidance on reconnecting with your body and understanding how desire actually works after 60, check out the Reconnection Guide in the description. Your voice matters, not because I say so, but because your intimacy depends on it.